Trenbolone acetate is an extremely powerful anabolic steroid and is considered the single greatest anabolic steroid by many performance-enhancing athletes. This is one of the most versatile anabolic steroids on the market and can provide benefits quite unlike any other steroid. Trenbolone acetate is also subject to numerous myths in the anabolic steroid world, but hopefully we'll be able to dispel these myths and gain a firm understanding of the compound. Trenbolone acetate is officially classified as a veterinarian-grade anabolic androgenic steroid. The trenbolone hormone itself was first created in the late 1960s and the acetate version would be sold under the names Finajet and Finaject. However, this is not the only trenbolone compound. The same hormone would appear on the pharmaceutical market under the name Parabolane and was manufactured by Negma Laboratories out of France. This version of Trenbolone was comprised of the same active hormone that makes up Finajet and Finaject, with the ester attached being the only exception. Parabolane carries the much larger hexahydrobenzyl carbonate ester. It would also be the only tren hormone ever manufactured for human use and would be discontinued in 1997 despite a lot of therapeutic success. See the Parabolane profile for more information. Hoechst Roussel, the manufacturer of the original Trenbolone acetate products, would discontinue its veterinarian line in the late 1980s. However, during this time they would introduce Finaplex pellets, small subcutaneous implant pellets that contain the active Trenbolone acetate compound. The pellets were intended to be used in cattle in order to increase the lean tissue of the animal shortly before slaughter. The pellets were so successful they have become a regular and integral part of the livestock market ever since. Numerous performance-enhancing athletes have also purchased Finaplex pellets in order to convert them into their own injectable Trenbolone acetate compound. While converted Finaplex pellets are common in many enhancement circles, over the years most underground labs have also begun to carry their own line of injectable Trenbolone acetate. Other than testosterone compounds, it is perhaps the most sought-after injectable steroid on the market. The benefits this steroid can provide to a cutting cycle are unmatched. In fact, you could stack numerous other anabolic steroids together and still not reach the level of power in Trenbolone acetate. It is also one of the best off-season bulking steroids available. Not only will it pack on a lot of mass and cause tremendous gains in strength, it will do so in a cleaner way than most traditional bulking steroids. While it is not the only tren form available, Trenbolone acetate is preferred by most athletes. It is much easier to maintain peaked and stable blood levels with this version, and when coupled with the benefits it is not too hard to see why many refer to Trenbolone acetate as the king of kings. Trenbolone acetate functions and traits. Trenbolone acetate is a 19-nortestosterone, 19-nor anabolic androgenic steroid. The 19-nor classification refers to a structural change of the testosterone hormone in that it lacks a carbon atom at the 19th position. This puts Trenbolone acetate in the same category as decadurabolone, nandrolone decanoate. In fact, the Trenbolone hormone itself is simply a modified form of the nandrolone hormone. The Trenbolone hormone carries a double bond at carbons 9 and 11, which in turn slows its metabolism, greatly increases its binding affinity to the androgen receptor, and inhibits it from aromatizing. The resulting change makes Trenbolone one of the most potent anabolic steroids of all time. Simply by looking at its structural ratings, we can begin to see how powerful it is. Trenbolone carries an anabolic rating of 500 and an androgenic rating of 500 as well. Such ratings are based on and measured against the ratings of testosterone, which carries a rating of 100 in both categories. Beyond its basic hormone structure, Trenbolone acetate has the small, short acetate, acetic acid, ester attached to it. The ester is attached in order to control the hormone's release time post-injection. By carrying the acetate ester, this gives Trenbolone an active half-life of approximately 2 days. Some data shows its active half-life to be a little less than 3 days, so 48 to slightly less than 72 hours would appear to be a good range. This, obviously, makes Trenbolone acetate a fairly fast-acting steroid and will require injections to take place somewhat frequently in order to maintain stable blood levels. Trenbolone acetate carries several powerful traits that are commonly associated with numerous anabolic steroids. However, while it carries numerous common traits, it also carries them at a rate of power and efficiency far above and beyond most steroids. Trenbolone acetate also carries one trait that largely separates it from the rest of the pack and is what's largely responsible for making it such a valuable hormonal compound. Like numerous anabolic steroids, trenbolone acetate will greatly enhance protein synthesis and nitrogen retention in the muscle tissue. Protein synthesis refers to the rate by which cells build proteins. Protein represents the primary building block of muscle. This will promote enhanced anabolism, as well as provide a strong protectant atmosphere during a caloric deficit. It will also largely promote a far greater level of recovery. As for nitrogen retention, the more nitrogen we retain, the more anabolic we remain. Conversely, when nitrogen levels fall, this can lead to a catabolic or muscle wasting state. This is due to all lean muscle tissue being comprised of approximately 16% nitrogen. While this is not a large amount, it is enough to make a very big difference. Once again, with enhanced nitrogen retention, the anabolic atmosphere is greatly enhanced, tissue is preserved, and recovery is promoted. Like many anabolic steroids, trenbolone acetate has the ability to greatly promote insulin-like growth factor 1 (IGF-1). IGF-1 is a powerful, naturally produced protein-based hormone that is extremely anabolic, highly important to recovery and rejuvenation, and affects nearly every cell in the human body. IGF-1 plays a role on muscle tissue, ligaments and tendons, cartilage, the central nervous system, and the pulmonary system. There are very few anabolic steroids that will promote IGF-1 like trenbolone acetate. Trenbolone acetate also has the ability to greatly increase red blood cell count. Red blood cells are responsible for carrying oxygen to and through the blood. With an enhanced amount, this increases blood oxygenation. This will tremendously enhance muscular endurance and will once again greatly promote an enhanced rate of recovery. While Tren carries this trait, we cannot say it carries it in a manner that is above and beyond other anabolic steroids. Another common steroidal trait held by trenbolone acetate is its ability to inhibit glucocorticoid hormones. Glucocorticoid hormones, sometimes referred to as stress hormones, are in many ways the opposite of anabolic steroidal hormones as they destroy muscle tissue and promote fat gain. They are, however, essential to our well-being, to a degree, but the use of trenbolone acetate will ensure such hormones do not become dominant in the body. This will be useful during any phase of supplementation, but perhaps more so during a hard diet when glucocorticoids like cortisol often become dominant. Trenbolone acetate's strong binding affinity to the androgen receptor will also be another trait that is very useful when dieting. Like most anabolic steroids, the use of trenbolone acetate will promote a more powerful metabolism. However, strong binding to the androgen receptor has been linked to direct lipolysis. This will be extremely valuable during a diet, but can also be tremendously beneficial during an off-season period of growth by helping the individual maintain a lower level of body fat. The final trait of trenbolone acetate is its ability to improve feed efficiency, or what is sometimes referred to as nutrient efficiency. This is the precise reason why the hormonal compound is given to cattle. Food is the most important part of any plan, and the most anabolic substance we can consume. However, the body will only utilize each nutrient to a certain degree. The food in question will determine the rate of utilization. However, by including trenbolone acetate into a program, each nutrient consumed becomes more valuable, and the body is now able to utilize each nutrient to a higher degree. While the total intake of nutrients may not have changed, the body will be able to make better use of the same amount. The best way to look at it is like the money in your pocket. With $1 you are able to buy $1 worth of goods and services. Now imagine if you could take that same dollar and purchase $10 worth of goods and services. While perhaps a slight oversimplification, when it comes to the value of the nutrients you consume, this is essentially what trenbolone acetate will do. Effects of trenbolone acetate. The effects of trenbolone acetate are nothing short of remarkable. However, we want to look at the effects of trenbolone acetate in a more practical way so that you'll have a good idea as to what to expect from the steroid's use. You will find this hormone is extremely valuable in both cutting and bulking plans, but if an edge were going to be given to one phase of use, it would have to be cutting. During the cutting phase there is no anabolic steroid on earth as beneficial or as valuable as trenbolone acetate. This is one of the most powerful anabolic steroids available when it comes to the cutting phase and preserving lean tissue. During a diet, preserving lean tissue is one of the primary goals. The overall primary goal is losing body fat, but if lean muscle mass is not preserved, the diet cannot be deemed successful. However, in order to lose body fat you must burn more calories than you consume, and this can put your muscle tissue at risk. As you continue to diet and become leaner, muscle mass loss will occur. This is due to the body burning lean tissue to meet its energy demands. A successful diet will ensure the body burns stored body fat to meet this demand, but due to the survival instinct of the body, it will often burn muscle mass instead. By supplementing with Trenbolone acetate, we ensure this doesn't occur, ensure muscle mass is protected, and burn body fat at a higher and more efficient rate. The enhanced fat burning is due to the steroid's ability to promote a more powerful metabolism and even promote direct fat loss due to the strong binding affinity to the androgen receptor. The lean tissue protection and fat burning of Trenbolone acetate is not the only benefit during the cutting phase. This steroid will have stronger conditioning effects than any anabolic steroid on the market. Specifically, we're referring to visual conditioning effects like hardness, definition, and vascularity. Not only are there no anabolic steroids that can promote these traits like Tren, there are not two other steroids you could stack together that would equal Trenbolone in this regard. While tremendously beneficial to the cutting phase and often considered essential to competitive bodybuilders during contest prep, Trenbolone acetate is also a phenomenal off-season bulking steroid. When we refer to this hormonal compound as versatile, that is truly an accurate statement. There are very few anabolic steroids that can promote mass like Trenbolone acetate. More importantly, the effects of Trenbolone acetate in this regard are not only strong but are far cleaner than most traditional bulking steroids. This hormone will not and cannot promote water retention, meaning each and every pound of weight gained due to use will be lean muscle mass. Of equal importance will be this steroid's ability to help the individual control fat gain during a period of growth. To achieve true growth, this will require total caloric intake to be slightly above maintenance levels. How far above will vary from one man to the next, and while many often take it too far, this phase will still require a slight surplus. Unfortunately, this necessary surplus will promote body fat gains, but due to the metabolic factors that surround Trenbolone acetate they will be minimized. This is not a license to eat like there's no end in sight. You can still gain a lot of fat if you continually gorge, but you should be able to make better use of your total caloric intake. Those who supplement with Trenbolone acetate during off-season periods of growth should gain less body fat than they would have without it. Regardless of the purpose of use, all who supplement with Trenbolone acetate will discover their muscular endurance is tremendously enhanced. This is a very common effect with numerous anabolic steroids, but perhaps a little stronger with Tren. Your muscles will not tire out as fast. However, some have reported that the use of the Trenbolone hormone tends to negatively affect their cardiovascular endurance, but this also appears to be a very individualistic type of thing. Some may find cardiovascular endurance hindered, while others will not. Regardless of this effect, muscular endurance will be enhanced as will the overall rate of recovery. This is important because recovery is where progress is made. Although it's hard for many to wrap their head around it, progress is not actually made in the gym. Training actually tears and breaks down muscle tissue, but recovery is where the benefits are held. By enhancing recovery, we recover faster and more efficiently. All who supplement with Trenbolone acetate will also find this as one of the best anabolic steroids on earth for increasing strength. Those who supplement during a period of off-season growth will find tremendous increases in strength. However, even with maintenance level calories, strength should still increase. During a caloric deficit, it is possible for a moderate strength increase to occur if the hormone is used early on in a diet. As the individual becomes very lean, such as competition lean, it's unlikely he should expect a strength boost. Again, this steroid is very common in competitive bodybuilder contest prep plans, and it is most commonly used at the back half or back end of a plan. This allows for the benefits to show through with the most strength. The hardness and definition won't be as pronounced if there's still a significant layer of body fat on the physique. However, during this phase of use, strength probably won't go up, but the individual should find he is able to maintain a lot more strength that would otherwise be lost. Side effects of Trenbolone acetate. There are certainly some possible side effects to Trenbolone acetate use, but possible is an important word to note. Over the years, and this is more than apparent on steroid message boards, an idea has been passed along that the side effects of Trenbolone acetate are assured. In fact, some actually believe that if they don't occur it must be due to a poor product. Not only is this a ridiculous way of thinking, it really doesn't make any sense. Trenbolone, while tremendously powerful, is not some strange steroid from the fifth dimension. Remember, it's simply an altered form of nandrolone, which itself is simply an altered form of the primary male androgen testosterone. While the possible side effects of Trenbolone acetate are often blown out of proportion, we cannot call this the most side effect-friendly anabolic steroid of all time, but most certainly not the unfriendliest. Many of the possible side effects of Trenbolone acetate will be very similar to many anabolic steroids and just as controllable. Many will also be largely dependent on genetic predispositions and sensitivity. However, when it comes to sensitivity, there is a group of what we can call response side effects that are a little unique to the Trenbolone hormone. There will be those who experience such effects while many will not. Unfortunately, the response effects will keep many from being able to use this steroid. In fact, while most men will be fine, there will be more men who cannot use Tren than perhaps any anabolic steroid. However, keep in mind the response effects of Trenbolone acetate are in no way an indicator of the hormone working. If you're a fantastic responder, you shouldn't have any issue at all. In order to help you understand the possible side effects of Trenbolone acetate, we have broken them down into their 6 separate categories along with all the information you'll need. Number 1. Estrogenic. Trenbolone is not estrogenic. This anabolic steroid does not aromatize at all, which is the very reason excess water retention is impossible with this steroid. However, gynecomastia is still possible due to the hormone carrying a strong progestin nature. Progesterone has the ability to stimulate the estrogenic mechanism in the mammary tissue, which can promote gynecomastia. Many men will not have an issue, but an individual's sensitivity to gynecomastia will play a role. Anti-estrogens will provide protection for those who need it. An important note, for many years, it has been assumed that Tren-based gynecomastia was due to a buildup in prolactin. However, this has been proven false largely thanks to the work of William Llewellyn. In fact, his study on the issue has largely been conclusive. It is the progestin nature, not prolactin, that causes. Llewellyn has also noted that the use of aromatizing steroids with Trenbolone greatly increases the odds of gynecomastia, often making the use of an anti-estrogen a necessity. Number 2. Androgenic. Tren is a highly androgenic hormone and is to be expected there are possible androgenic side effects of Trenbolone acetate. Such effects include acne, accelerated hair loss in those predisposed to male pattern baldness, and body hair growth. While such effects are possible, they are entirely dependent on your genetics. For example, if you are not predisposed to male pattern baldness, it will be impossible for you to lose any of your hair. However, if you are predisposed, while you were going to lose it anyway, the rate of loss will be accelerated. In fact, Tren can be one of the unfriendliest steroids to the hairline in predisposed men. Due to the androgenicity of Trenbolone, some will try 5-alpha reductase inhibitors like finasteride to gain protection. However, the 5-alpha reductase enzyme does not metabolize the Trenbolone hormone and related inhibitors will have very little if any effect. You will not be able to reduce the androgenicity of this hormone, which should be kept in mind if such effects are a concern for you. Number 3. Cardiovascular. The side effects of Trenbolone acetate in this category can be a concern for some men. This steroid can have a strong, negative impact on cholesterol by suppressing HDL cholesterol, good cholesterol, and increasing LDL cholesterol, bad cholesterol. This negative effect on cholesterol should not be as strong as most oral anabolic steroids, but it will be far more pronounced than most injectable steroids. It is controllable, but it will take a concentrated effort. A cholesterol-friendly lifestyle is imperative, which means a cholesterol-friendly diet rich in omega fatty acids, low in saturated fats, and low in simple sugars. It also means incorporating regular cardiovascular activity into your routine, even during off-season periods of growth. Do not buy into the idea that cardio is a bad idea during the off-season. That is a myth that has done more harm than good. Many are also encouraged to include a cholesterol antioxidant supplement when using Trenbolone. Trenbolone acetate can also have a negative impact on blood pressure. However, it does not appear to negatively affect most healthy adult men in this way. Regardless, it is possible and you should keep an eye on it. If you cannot control your blood pressure, you should discontinue use immediately. Number 4. Testosterone. Regardless of the purpose of use, your genetics or rumors you may have heard, the side effects of Trenbolone acetate will always include natural testosterone suppression. All anabolic steroids suppress natural testosterone production, but the rate of suppression varies greatly from one steroid to the next. In the case of Tren, it will be more than significant. It will be nearly impossible not to fall into a low testosterone state without the inclusion of exogenous testosterone. Include exogenous testosterone during your cycle and this problem is solved. Once your cycle ends and all the exogenous hormones have cleared your system, natural testosterone production will begin again on its own. However, natural levels will still be very low, and it will take a good bit of time to reach a full recovery. For this reason, most are encouraged to implement a post-cycle therapy (PCT) plan. A PCT plan will stimulate natural testosterone recovery and ensure you have enough testosterone for proper bodily function while your levels continue to naturally rise. This will not promote a full recovery on its own, that will still take time, but it will shorten the process. It will also ensure cortisol does not become the dominant hormone when testosterone levels are low for an extended period of time. If cortisol becomes dominant, this can destroy your physique. Some important notes on natural testosterone recovery. Natural recovery assumes no prior low testosterone state existed. It also assumes severe damage was not done to the hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis, HPTA, due to improper anabolic steroid use. Another important note is while a PCT plan is very beneficial, being off of the cycle for a short period of time is counterproductive. This should be kept in mind in hardcore circles. Number 5. Hepatotoxicity. On its surface, Trenbolone acetate is not considered a hepatotoxic anabolic steroid. Most should have no issues with liver stress or damage. However, the hormone does appear to provide a level of toxicity with extremely high doses, but it appears to take doses that are far beyond what most any human would ever undertake. The odds of any hepatic stress are extremely rare. Number 6. Response effects. The final side effects of Trenbolone acetate surround those that will keep some from using the hormone. On their surface they don't sound too bad, but they can occur in a way that is beyond dramatic. The response side effects of Trenbolone acetate include anxiety, insomnia, night sweats, and rapid heart rate. If such effects occur, lowering the dose can sometimes help. Extremely high doses can cause these effects, but a lot of men will find they occur at any dose. If this is the case, the hormone may not be for you. It may seem unfair but that's life. Some can take aspirin and some can't, many can drink milk but others can't. This is just a part of life. Trenbolone acetate administration. There are no dosing or administration guidelines available for Trenbolone acetate in a therapeutic capacity. The hormone has never been approved for human use. Remember, Parabolone, Trenbolone hexahydrobenzyl carbonate, is the only Tren compound ever approved for human use. For physique-related purposes, most men will find a dose of 50-100 mg every other day to be a fantastic range. 50 mg every other day is a fantastic place to start, with 100 mg every other day often being all the Trenbolone acetate many men will ever need. Very few men will need more than 100 mg every other day during the off-season. If higher doses are to be used, this will most commonly be during the cutting phase. Some men will be able to tolerate 100 mg every day or 200 mg every other day, but this does increase the risk of side effects greatly, especially response-related. 50 mg every other day is often deemed a very low dose, but remember this is an extremely powerful anabolic steroid. This is a very controllable dose for most men, should be very comfortable, and should provide fantastic results. If not, something is wrong with your product. On the injection schedule, every other day will be the most efficient. Every day can be fine but won't really provide much of a benefit over every other day. However, it is possible to only inject the hormone on a standard 3-day-a-week schedule, such as every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. This will cause a slight dip in blood levels with the 2 days in a row of no administration, but outside of competition circles, it really shouldn't be a big deal or even noticeable. Availability of Trenbolone acetate. Trenbolone acetate is widely available and one of the easiest anabolic steroids to obtain. Nearly every underground lab on Earth manufactures this steroid. Other than testosterone, it is probably in higher demand than any steroid, and because so many make it and the supply is so high, it should almost always be a very affordable anabolic steroid. Then we have the Finaplex pellets. This is a very interesting situation. As you're aware, anabolic steroids are controlled substances in the US and in other parts of the world. However, Finaplex pellets are not controlled substances despite being comprised of Trenbolone. This is due to putting a control on them would tremendously damage the livestock market, dramatically increase the price of beef, and destroy a host of ranchers. Keep in mind if you buy Finaplex pellets and the needed conversion kits that can be found online in order to manufacture your own injectable Trenbolone acetate, you will be breaking U.S. law. Due to the annoyance of making your own Tren from Fina pellets, most will turn to underground labs. However, always research a lab thoroughly before making a purchase and understand there are more unscrupulous labs than not. Trenbolone acetate conclusion. Trenbolone is without a doubt one of the most beneficial anabolic steroids on the market. When we consider the therapeutic benefits of nandrolone, or even testosterone, it may not quite match up, but on the basis of raw power and physique transformation, Trenbolone acetate is the king. No steroid will be as beneficial when cutting, not even close, and when bulking it is nothing short of fantastic. While Tren is beneficial during cutting and bulking phases, if you're only going to use it in one phase, always choose cutting. Many will actually need to limit their Trenbolone acetate use to one phase due to the harshness of the compound in some men, especially when we consider cardiovascular strain. However, solid responders who are in excellent health should find they can use the steroid during both phases with a high level of success.